I got the power again. Stick around. Hello fellow vapors, Vaping Newbie here, and this is a really exciting one. We're going to be talking about the Pioneer4You IPV3, and why is it exciting? I want it! Now this is going to be a longish video because not only do I want to look at this device, and I'm not going to get too in-depth about it, but I do want to compare it to another device that I recently purchased, the Sigelei 150, and I do want to do sort of like a head-to-head battle, for lack of a better term. So stick around. I'm glad you did. You did drop by, and let's see what's in the box. Okay, this is my favorite part of any video is the unboxing, and the box, it's just the Pioneer4You logo on the top, IPV3 150 watt, and down here in the corner it says box mod. Yeah. On the back, it does have what's included, so you get the IPV3 device, the USB cable, a user manual, and a screwdriver, and a gift box. Also included is a mini USB charger. It has an LED screen, and of course it uses dual 18650 batteries. I love the bottom part. I actually think that's a good idea where it says, caution, this is not a toy. There is no other real markings on the box whatsoever. Open up said box and you get the actual device, and as you see, it's still wrapped in this plastic because I like to share this with y'all when I first get it. And we'll take a look at the device. I chose the stainless steel model, very clear on one side. On the other side at the bottom it has the Pioneer4You logo. The top and bottom have hex screws. The bottom has a large area for venting right here, and that's because you do have the two 18650 batteries, and then there's your output for the USB cable. Again, on the bottom, not a favorite spot of mine. On the top, you do have an adjustable 510 connection, and it is in brass. It's very hard to pick it up on camera. And then on this side, you have a sensor, but from everything that I've heard and everything I've read, it does nothing. It's a nice shaped box. I like the feel of the box. I'm sorry, on this side, you have a fire button and then your up and down button, as it is a variable wattage device, and then your LCD screen. I'm sorry, getting back, it is a nice handheld device. It feels good. It feels boxy. And we'll take another look at that. What else do you get in the box? You get your instruction manual, and you get some spare screws, and that's for the back. You get your USB cable and a blue screwdriver. Now, when we look at blue screwdrivers, and we all have a lot of them, you have a Phillips head and you have a hexohm. Phillips head, hexohm. The hexohm comes with it. We're going to discuss this a bit further later. It does have on this side a very nice looking area where it has the Pioneer4You logo and then the sort of like stars in it. I think that's pretty cool. And then you do have an outlet here, and that is for a charger. I believe it takes a 9-volt charger, but I'll look into that. I'll get back to you on that. I don't think a device like this, I personally would want to charge the batteries while it's inside. When I put this beside the Sigelei 150, you can see they're approximately the same size, again approximately the same thickness, and what is the big difference here is the buttons. The Sigelei 150 has a large fire button, and well, let me turn it right side up. How about we start there, and you can see how the IPV has a little, for lack of a better term, nipple type battery. What we're going to do is I'm going to take off the back, and then we can get a good look at the inside. Okay, we take our included hexohm screwdriver and start working the screws. I wish it was that fast. Take off the back, not much there to see, and we look at the interior. The interior looks pretty clean. You have a plus and minus, and a minus and plus, so you're running two 18650 in series. There is a very large spring on the minus part for each of the batteries where the contact is. You have this little tab where, when you put your batteries in, it's easy to pop them out. You don't want to be fiddling around in there. They do have it well closed off. There are spots where there's a bit of glue residue, from what I can see, around it. And, of course, here, again, they have the Pioneer4You logo, and then a quality sticker, it looks like, and then a number, which I guess is their serial number, and this one says L0767. Other than that, inside it does have a sort of a design to where the batteries go in, which is kind of nice, almost like a carbon fiber interior, and pretty good looking on the inside. And now we're going to put it back together and take a look at the outside of it more. Okay, I'm running two batteries. Now again, these are married batteries. They're made specifically together. They were purchased together. They are fully charged. And we'll put the batteries in. And then we have to put the screen, the back on. Grabbing said trusty screws, and remember there are two, they give you two spare screws, and we put the back on. Okay, to turn it on, it is 5 clicks of a fire button, and then you get the the Pioneer4You logo, and then IPV3 shows up, and then the screen goes blank. Let's take a look at the screen. You have the wattage that you chose, the voltage you need to attain it, the build, and then a bar that tells you your power on the battery. So 1.2 ohm build. If I use it at 22.4 watts, I need 5.3 volts to get that, and fully charged batteries. By pressing the up and down button at the same time, you will lock it, and that you cannot fire it, you cannot change anything. You try it, it'll say unlock. Or please unlock, I'm sorry. Pressing them both together, then it unlocks it. One of the things I do like about it is this particular device, it has memory settings. So you do have 5 memory settings. So that's memory 2, memory 3, 4, 5, and then of course memory 1. If you want to change the memory settings, you simply, in that mode, hit the fire button, and then by pressing up or down, I made a mistake there. By pressing down, you'll change the wattage, and then you'll hold the fire button. That will cause the memory to remember that. Press the up button, and now you're back on memory mode. So there is your new memory for 10 watts is now 8.7 watts. Quite simple, quite handy. We're going to talk about that in a minute. So let's take it up top and give it a whirl to see how it goes. So before we give it a whirl, I do want to go through a few things. This will fire from 7 watts to 150 watts. It does not round robin. You've got to go from 7 to 150. As you saw, it does have memory functions, which are really handy. So if you're using RBA or RTAs, I prefer to call them RDA, a dripper, or a clearmizer, and you want to have, I'm going to change the tank, now I got to change my wattage, you might want to set it, and then you just have 5 basic memory buttons for 5 different tank styles, perhaps. Not even, you put on your Freemax Star or Atlantis, and you have that 0.5 ohm coil in there. You might want to set it at 50 or 55 watts, and that's your memory, and that's for those tanks. Makes it simple. You can use resistance from 0.1 to a 3.0 ohm coil. You do have that lock feature, and we're going to be looking at some of the pros and cons of what the machine is, but let's put a topper on here, let's get a tank on here and take it for a test drive. And the feel of the device, we're going to compare it one-on-one, in my opinion, with the Sigelei 150, but it does feel good. It does feel like a box mod. I do like the tapers that they do onto the corners and the rounded edge, as well as on the side. It's kind of beveled right there, and that's kind of a nice thing as well. How does it work? You choose a wattage, you put on your top, you hit a button. It works. Um, the thing that bothers me, the button. It doesn't. I don't like the feel of the button. It's small. It sort of digs in, and maybe I'm being a bit too anal, but it bothers me. But the long and short of it is a 150-watt box mod. Now, do I like it? Yes, I like the look of it. I like the feel of it. But I'm not ready to say I like it more than the Sigelei. And now we're going to talk a bit more about comparisons. But this is the IPV3. It's a nice device that has me scratching my head on a couple of things. And now let's go through those couple of things. I'm going to take off the tank that I have on here. And what bothers me about it? Well, first of all, I mentioned before about how it comes with this blue-handled hex-home screwdriver, and that we all have the Phillips head blue-handled screwdriver. Why in God's name did they not use a Phillips head screw rather than a hex-home screw? Because that means you must carry around the hex-home screwdriver. Now, a lot of people are going to be thinking, Gord, why do we have to carry it around? That's a good point. You put in two 18650 batteries, I can nearly guarantee that you're going to get a full day out of it. You don't have to change the batteries. What ticks me off is if you lose the hex home screwdriver or misplace the hex home screwdriver, it becomes an issue. Don't understand why they would do that. Another thing that irks me, I love that one, is why do you put a cable on the bottom at this day and age? There must have been a way that they could put it on the side so that when you have it in the computer, it's standing upright. To have it on the bottom there, it makes no sense to me. Another thing, they give you an output so you could plug in, and according to the directions, it says plug in your charger and the light will go red. I have no freaking clue. I opened up the box. There's no charger for that. I've got to go out and buy one if I want to use this as a charger. Now, I said before I wouldn't do that. It just bothers me that they took time to put that in, then had time to write it in the directions, but they don't give you anything to do that. So you get home, it's like, Christmas when you're a kid, you get home and all of a sudden, you don't have the batteries. Well, this is similar. You don't have the charger. Makes no sense to me. Now, again, I want to reiterate, having said that, I'm going to charge my batteries in a outside or exterior charger. But that's just me. The sensor on the top looks nice. Don't know what it's for. Take it off. There's no reason to have it there. If it doesn't work, what? And then when you push the buttons, I noticed when I was playing around with it, it came across. Let me see if I can do it. I've locked it. Please unlock. And when I press a certain button, it says, when I press the power, I want you to see this because it makes no sense. When you press the power button and the down button together, it says touch off. Touch off. Of course it's off. It's not connected in any way. So that's what gets me. And you know what? This is a device that's quite expensive. It sells for between $140 and $150 up here in Canada. I don't get it. Why would they make all this nonsensical additions? Okay, so my final thoughts. I used it for a bit, so I wanted to give you my final thoughts on it. It's a nice device. It looks good. It feels good. I did have kind of a slidey problem today, but by putting a little finger underneath it, it took care of that. I didn't like the button. That was bothering me because it was kind of small. But even the 510 connector being adjustable but not spring-loaded, I didn't have any issues. All the toppers that I put on it, all the tanks worked without an issue. It is a nice-looking unit. It does have a certain je ne sais quoi. There was just a couple of things that bothered me about it, and that is mainly to do with the screws on the back rather than Phillips head, or better yet, magnets. But let's save that and let's take a look and run a comparison now to the Sigelei 150. I mentioned at the top or near the top of the video that I was going to do a comparison between the IPV3 and the Sigelei 150, and I'm going to do that now. And you know, the more I think about it, the less logic I have in my choice. But I'll touch on that in a second. Let's look at the pluses that the IPV3 has that the Sigelei 150 doesn't have. Right out the door, it has a nicer look to it. It's not boxy. Two, it has the 5 memory settings. I find that really practical, and that's just me. And the third thing, it is upgradable. It has that function. You can hook it up, put it in your computer, and upgrade it. I believe right now this goes to 150 watts. If I hook this up to the computer, it'll go to 165 watts. So right there I gain 15 watts. Now, to be perfectly honest, I'm not going to really use 150 watts, never mind 165 watts. But the fact of the matter is, it's there. So that is a big difference and a big, seemingly, edge to the IPV3. Now, the Sigelei. What did I like about the Sigelei over the IPV3? First thing is the obvious thing, the batteries access. It has the magnets. It's easy. Pop them off, put them in, put the top back on. It's done, easy peasy in seconds. I don't have to fumble around with screws. The buttons, irregardless of the fact that there's a battery rattle, I like the fact that it's a large button. Very easy on the finger. It wasn't bothering me whatsoever. And again, these are personal observations. You may be fine with the buttons on the Sigelei or the IPV3. I'm not here to argue. I'm just saying what I found. And then I guess the least of which is it came with this case. So when you put the Sigelei 150 in the case, it just makes it really comfortable. There's no sliding. It gives you a grip. Sorry, needed a vape. It just there's something about it that I liked. The fact that it came in all complete. Now, this is where the illogic starts. The Sigelei does not have any way to upgrade it. There is no connections. When you buy the box, you don't get a cable because there's nowhere to put a cable, okay? So you sort of look at it and say, well, then this is more complete. Well, perhaps it is. But what makes this more complete to me is overshadowed by the little things. What I mean by that is, I mentioned that it's upgradable. I'm not going to use 150 watts, so I don't give a damn if this will go to 200 watts. So again, for a guy like me, negates it. The memory settings, I wish the Sigelei had. If, again, you marry the two together, you have a damn good box mod. So that is a plus. But I keep coming back to the screws on the back. You got to remember that it has an adjustable 510 connection. So why wouldn't you put in a double-headed screwdriver and use Phillips head screws, very least? If you're not going to use magnets, do it that way, and you have a screwdriver that'll work both, you know, the screws and the contact for the 510. So based on that, you'd think that this far outweighs the Sigelei 150. Yet, I have to give the nod to the Sigelei 150 for the only simple reason is the ease of access of batteries. As I mentioned, I'm not going to upgrade it. I'm happy with the way it is. So if that's the case, the Sigelei gets the nod based on that and that alone. I just found it was more complete in that you got it, the magnets on the back, the buttons feel nicer, and that case just completed it. It had IPV, or I should say Pioneer4You, put in a case, then it would be tougher for me. Had they put in Phillips head screws, they would have gotten the edge from me. Believe it or not, it is something that minute that made me lean towards the Sigelei 150. And folks, remember, I bought the Sigelei 150. I won the IPV3. I went in after doing studies and made my choice based upon what I read, and I was really glad I did. And then after using the IPV3, was even happier. It is a great box mod. I'm not going to put down the IPV3. I just found that the little things made the difference for me, and that's why I have to give it to the IPV. I'm sorry, to the Sigelei 150. So my friends on Facebook from Team IPV3, I deeply, deeply apologize, but it is what it is. That's my choice. Folks, I'm glad you came by. I hope you have got something out of this. You know I love spending time with you. Stay healthy and happy vaping. Take care, folks.